What's going on? This is the Butterfly, Ishmael Butler from Digable Planets.
Yo, this is your brother C Knowledge, aka the Doodlebug.
I'm Ladybug Mecca.
They are the Digable Planets. I'm Kevin Polowy, aka DJ Kevlar, and we are about to zoom like that.
We zoom like that.
I told you I was going to call you guys. Sorry, I'm such a nerd. But I'm geeked out of my head to be speaking with you guys today. Like, you guys have been like the soundtrack to my life.
No, thank you.
This means
that means a lot.
Big congrats on 30th birthday to one of your babies, your straight masterpiece, Reachin, a new Refutation of Time and Space. You guys definitely, I mean, I like I was saying earlier, I grew up on this music. It's been the soundtrack to my life ever since. You guys definitely taught me the word refutation, among many, many other things, the teenager, Archer and Camus, all the references and above. Before we get into the weeds on Reaching, what can you guys say about how the DPs sort of first Voltroned in the first place? Like, you know, because I think one of the miraculous aspects of this album, both albums, is how sort of like seamlessly you function as a unit, as a swoon unit. I should say. How did you guys first find each other?
We actually formed as the unit that we see now in probably like 90, maybe 90, 91. Me and C have really been circling around each other because he's from Philly. My father's from Philly. My father's parents lived in Philly. So I would always come to Philly for summer vacation and visiting my dad, going to see my grandma and all of them. So Philly was sort of like a home base for both of us.
At a Ladybug, transformation is complete for the metamorphosis from the box to the Jeep.
We ultimately found each other in Philadelphia at a club called Silk City that King Britt was actually DJing at. And I had known Knowledge, you know, briefly. And that's where I met Ishmael. Back
then, it wasn't really like, even if you worked on music by yourself, you wanted to be part of a crew because it was more group oriented then. There wasn't really that many solo guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we just started hanging out and talking about music and, you know, our love for hip hop, and those conversations, you know, transformed into sitting down together in Knowledge's grandmother's living room and writing like our first rhyme together.
And boom, we all start, you know, getting.
And then, excuse me, and then from there is when we decided to be in a group together.
Started hanging out, writing raps, and really started dreaming about the Digable thing, you know?
That is like the special moment, you know, when it all happened.
That's the origin story. Craig, what's your side of the story? I mean, how did you react when Ish is, especially to the sort of like conceptual level of this group and what have you, when he came to you with the idea, you know, we're not only going to do this style, but we know we're going to be interstellar insects.
Man, I was always into stuff like that. Man, I was back in those days, I was a comic book head, still am. I was into the outer space, cosmic, you know what I'm saying? All that stuff. I was into all that. And then when he came in with that idea, the idea had already been, I'd heard the idea before, but never in the form that he brought it. You know what I'm saying? In terms of music, you know what I'm saying? A young cat. I always heard older cats talking about the different philosophies that he was expressing. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, yo, I'm down with that. You know what I'm saying? And it sounds good to me. All for one, one for all. The insect theory was beautiful. The music he was presenting to me was beautiful. And I was like, yo, come on, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because back in those days, it was just all about just getting on the mic, having fun. Dreams of blowing up and all that you had them, but it wasn't really like a reality. It was just a love. You know what I'm saying? You just wanted to be around like-minded individuals that wanted to do the same thing that you wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? And he was one of those brothers, and he came to me with an incredible idea. And I've made some bad decisions in my life, but rolling with him was definitely not one of them.
I would say so.
Yeah.
You guys eventually made your way to Brooklyn. So what was the process of the actually formulating this album? How long were you guys working on it? When did you start? And what was sort of the process of putting this thing together?
So we basically would like listen to records, right? And then like none of us had a sampler, none of us had no drum machine. We knew some people that did, so we would have to kind of like figure out a time when we could go over there and try to get stuff down. So it was all really like in your mind. Like I'd be like, oh, okay, like that Herbie Hancock sample is dope. I'm gonna put that, and then we're gonna go into, you know, the Parliament loop.
Start y'all here.
You know, and then like when you got that in your mind, you sort of had to like record it in your mind. You know what I'm saying? And like keep it there in your mind, recorded, work out bars and stuff like that. And then when you got a chance to go into a studio to put it down, that's the time you could execute it.
The champ of the amplified sound, swimming in this art on up the boogie down.
You know, I remember just being so young, and it was a rough time, you know, financially, being a young artist in a big city by myself, you know, no family. You know, these two are my chosen family. And, you know, making the decision to either get on the dollar van to record this album or eat that day, you know, like a real struggle, you know.
One of the things that's always stood out to me about the DPs is how singular you guys have always been in the hip hop realm. I don't think there's anyone that's ever sounded like you then and ever has since. But so I want to know, who were your sort of central influences in hip hop at the time?
Public Enemy.
It was a lot. I mean, I would say that whole Native Tongue crew, they was definitely inspiration.
De La Soul, of course, Tribe Called Quest.
Run DMC.
Very monumental group to all of us is Public Enemy. You know, like
no
they really came with a new way of looking at the world, a new way of looking at life. They was leaders, you know, they had the joints, but it was always had substance to it, you know, and style. So they really had me intrigued. And
Brand Nubians, Poor Righteous Teachers,
and that first De La Soul album, starting when Potholes in My Lawn, and then Plug Tuning came out, and then when they hit us with, even when Plug Tuning and Potholes in My Lawn came out, it was beyond people's imagination. But when they dropped the album, it was just like it shook up the world, man. And I was shook up as well.
Yeah, rest in peace to Dove. Plug 2.
Yeah, for sure. Rest in peace, for sure.
Queen Latifah, MC Light, Audio 2. I mean, many. Gangstar, for sure.
Stetsasonic.
Yeah.
These were the kind of groups that I, you know what I'm saying, that I was like, wow, when I do music, I want to do something not exactly like them, you know what I'm saying? Because back then it was all about originality, being yourself. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to do something like that, but in my own way, you know what I'm saying? So that's
what they did. They showed you that, oh wow, like you could do something different, and the way to stand out is to do something different. You know what I mean? It was very much like a style sport back then, to where your own style had to prevail in order for you to get noticed. Because if you was like a biter, you really couldn't survive back then, because people didn't really covet that. So you sounded like somebody else. But
I think you guys answered my sort of next question, which was how sort of conscious were you that you had to have an inherent uniqueness at the time? But it sounds like very conscious, and that was very organically built into the foundation of the group.
Yeah, you really didn't even have to think about it that much. You just knew it, because biting, like that was a thing. Like if somebody called you a biter or something, you could fight. You know what I'm saying? Like that was
good fight. It was good fight.
Yeah, that was like, yo, who you calling a biter? Like, what you mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, so everyone knew like that wasn't really a good thing to try. It wasn't a path to success. I put it like that.
Yeah. I put it like that. Right.
It was not like a decision, like a discussion, like we have to do something different. Yeah, we were being who we were at the time and who we are now. And living our lives as we are. This was the, product, let's say, that came of us tapping into our source. There was never the thought of creating like a hit song or something for the radio. We were just being led by what felt good to us, what sounded good to us, and we loved it. And that's really kind of all that mattered. Obviously, we hoped our peers would, but we were creating from the heart,
I mean, you were talking about sort of the discovery of certain samples and lining them up. Who first tapped the Art Blakey Messenger sample? How did that go down?
Originally, a group that I was in at the time called the Dread Poet Society, we used the sample for a song we had called Skin Treatment. When I hooked up with Ish, and we started sharing music and musical ideas and things like that, and he wanted to hear what I was doing with my old group, and I let him hear it. And that one particular song, he's like, "Ooh, that sample," and he was feeling it. And I saw the stuff grinding in his. I saw his brain like started percolating. He was like, "Okay." And eventually, he asked us. After he and I got more deeply involved, and he involved me more into this Digable Planet idea he had. He came to me and said, would it be cool if we use this sample, took that sample that y'all use and did it for our demo? I was like, cool. I asked the group, everybody was cool with it. He went in, flipped it, put his magic to it, and it became the song that we know today.
Did you guys have a pretty good idea that Rebirth is Thick would blow up like it did? Did you know you'd kind of struck gold before it happened, that hip hop was literally gaining a classic?
If it's the shit, we'll lift it off the plastic. The babes will go spastic. Hip hop is a classic.
No,
It wasn't. You didn't feel like that back then. Nobody knew nothing about You couldn't predict anything.
I knew that I loved it. We knew that we felt like we had something special, But yeah, as far as how it would impact and change culture, shift culture, no.
It wasn't like now where oh, this machine is behind this person, so these minimum results are gonna happen. Like, nah, bro, you can forget that. There was no cheat code back then at all, so we didn't have no idea that song was gonna do well. We knew we liked it. That was about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously the most well-known. Is it possible for you guys to name your own favorites from that record?
Where I'm from.
Wicked Dick Plans got teen where I'm from. Where I'm from is Clarence 13 where I'm from. Where I'm from, brothers took the beats and got fly.
Swoon units.
Swoon units. The units I know are the swoon units.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
What Cool Breezes Do.
You gotta do what you feel, do what you feel, do what you feel, yeah, do what you feel.
Jimmy's digging cats.
If you digging rhyme, then you digging rap. Jimmy's digging this, and we be digging that.
I like Time and Space.
Oh yeah, that's a hot one too right there. I love the drums on that joint.
Funk, rhythm, psychedelic money. Studied my lessons, got vision 2020. Check out the globe, they needed what we brought. Ladybug, don't we boom it from New York?
Yes, we do. Time, space. What is that like? Just how we live and went in the hip life.
Examination of what?
I'm just a baby, man. And Mr. Doodle, I'm just a baby too. And Miss Mecca,
I'm just a baby, man.
La Femme Fatale.
You remember my boyfriend Sid, that fly kid who I love? Well, our love was often a verb, and spontaneity has brought a third.
I mean, there's no skips. This is registered. But we know they're all just your babies, man. All just your babies.
Basically.
Just babies.
I love all of it, really.
Well, I mean, you mentioned La Femme Fatale. And that was really formative for me as a teen in terms of sort of opening my mind to reproductive rights. I mean, not that I was ever like pro-life, though. I always hated that they sort of claimed that term for their own, but it did have sort of it did kind of have a profound effect on me, just that I wasn't hearing sort of messages like that in my music. Sadly, obviously that song is seemingly more relevant today than it was in 1993. But Ish, what can you say about sort of like what the climate was in the terms of the battle over reproductive rights at the time that inspired you to write that?
I just remember that my friend, we were young and starting to grow up and, explore our sexuality and starting to have girlfriends and girls are starting to have boyfriends. And when that happens, things like unwanted pregnancies and stuff like that are just, reality,
Mm-hmm.
So I had friends that was going through it, I had a girlfriend that was going through it with me as well. So it's just like, I never really thought of it as a political song. I thought of it as more like a blues where you speak about whatever's going on in your life. You feel me?
At that time, we were all, and so were, our peers, just socially conscious and aware that the struggle for, bodily autonomy for women is just an ongoing thing. And even at that time, we felt like this day would be here, the day where we are now. We felt that it was a real possibility, and here we are.
The one thing I take from it, seeing that it's still relevant, is that with a lot of things, issues of gender, issues of race and class, issues of economic equality, issues of all type of equity, it's not like it like circled back around. Nah, this is what they do. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be like this, So it being 30 years ago, it's like people say, oh, it's still relevant. Yeah, because it was really relevant all the way throughout since then, because that's how these people understand how to control. So I was just talking about what things I knew with the people that I cared about and was around. And oddly enough, it's still kind of the same thing.
Cause life don't stop after birth, and for a child born to the unprepared, it might even just get worse. The situation would surely change if they were to find themselves in it. Supporters of the H-bomb and firebombing clinics.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of the climate of hip hop at the time, the genre was going in sort of all sort of different directions, right? Like the cadence of lyricism had really been revolutionized by folks like Rakim and KRS and Chuck D. It was turning sort of wildly eclectic in New York. You're months away from November 9th, the Tribe Wu-Tang famous date. It was threatening to go pop in a lot of ways. And it was being reinvented on the West Coast at the same time. How do you remember sort of how your peers that were already ingrained in the culture, the established artists at the time, sort of reacted to you guys when you came out to this sort of weird jazzy trio of extraterrestrial instruments?
Boogie job and rap is life where I'm from. Where I'm from, Ahmad play with Izzy where I'm from. Where I'm from, it be like run your coat black. Jupiter keeps a fat beats by the pack where I'm from.
I think, for the most part, I think we were accepted. Of course, there's some people that you're never going to be fully accepted in the culture of what you, especially when you're doing something original and you're blazing a new path. But I think we had we were lucky enough to have groups like De La Soul come before us to break the mold a little bit, to break the ice, a little bit more. I'm sure they had it harder than we did, because when they came out with theirs, it was like nobody doing what they were doing. Nobody was being like quirky and weird, and what I'm saying. And then when we did it, it still hadn't been fully accepted and in the hip hop culture, but it was. What I'm saying. People just wasn't used to that style and of how the presentation of it. What I'm saying. But once it was out there, they were like, wow, this is cool. What I'm saying?
The bloom, the swoon, the sugars on your block. The planets letting flesh in the corners of New York. The ghetto, the meadow, the Mr. Butterflu. The honey bugs dug and licked the honeydew.
A memory that comes to mind was at one of the award shows when I met Dr. Dre. And he surprised me by saying like, I don't quote me, but something to the effect of like, he really loves our music, like he really feels it. And that really touched me. And it kind of surprised me, a little bit in the moment.
Of course, you're never going to get fully accepted. So I mean, but I think overall the people was fucking with us though.
Yeah, and also too, like people that might have had a certain like conception or perception of us, a lot of times we would meet them and then they would understand a little bit more that we was from the same essence that all of the hip hop stuff was from. And then they would kind of click like, oh, okay, like they're just different. Like they're just approaching it different. And then it would allow us to like be more accepted, or at least people would see us in a different light, so that was something I would notice a lot of times running around, going to the parties and going to the award shows and the after parties and all that kind of stuff.
And the Grammy goes to, all right now, hi baby, how you doing? Digable Planets and Bertha Slick.
What did the Grammys win mean for you guys? What did that moment mean for you guys?
The Grammys for rap was young back then.
When we won it, it was too early, because not too long before that, they were boycotting it because they were mad that hip hop wasn't being represented. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we were one of the first, maybe top first 5 hip hop artists to win it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Nowadays, it's more like it's a standard bearer for the industry. You got to win a Grammy.
Like rappers wasn't going for Grammys when we was.
Yeah, exactly. People weren't.
Now cats go in the studio like, oh, I'm about to make an album, man. I'm about to get this Grammy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So for us, it was cool. I think our management team and our label was able to do a lot with it. That we might not have been conscious of, because we were like back then, bro. We just made music, bro. We didn't really. Regrettably, we wasn't really that business minded and savvy and all that kind of stuff. We were literally just like about the music, so it was good. We got good opportunities. We were able to tour for many years after that. And so it was like a broadening of the scope of what was possible for us, Yeah. And our parents felt proud, you know what I'm saying? And
that was the biggest thing.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. You did use the moment to make a statement. You talked about wealth disparity.
We like for everybody to think about the people right outside this door that's homeless as you sitting in these $900 seats and $300 seats. They not out there eating at all.
The comment about our true enemy, I think, drew a lot of speculation.
Also, we like to say to the universal black family that one day we're going to recognize our true enemy, and we're going to stop attacking each other, and maybe then we'll get some changes going on.
Have you ever sort of felt the need to explain that as it's been sort of unpacked over the years? Is there anything you can say about that?
No, not really. I mean, it's like, it's really a message for the insiders, those that it was for those that would understand what it meant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was more a testament of, when we were coming up, it was like, bro, like money and fame was always something that we cast a weary eye on, because we knew the corruption that came with it. We had been told and taught that. And also jumping fully into the empire's systems was also something that we didn't really covet, It's something you go fuck with for a little while, but you always remain outside of. You see what I'm saying? You don't give yourself over to that, because it ain't nothing over there. It's empty and vapid. Mm-hmm. So when we went up there, honestly, bro, it's like, to be young and fiery like that, I'm glad that happened at that time, because once you get older and have a little bit more responsibility, people lose that kind of fire and that kind of outlook. So yeah. I'm just proud that I was from people that instilled that in me, and I was with people that bolstered that in me and rocked with me, and that we did that, till we received the honor, and that we didn't just think about ourselves, but we thought about other people, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what we was on at that time, straight up. That's how we was rocking,
7 seconds, it's going down.
We are the creamy spice. The cream always rises up. We all got sequel. The man's game is peak.
Sound like Pendulum was very supportive, but like, was there any resistance that you faced sort of as you like evolved or shifted your sound and your ethos and took sort of a more hard-hitting, more revolutionary tone on Blowout Comb, like when you swung the pendulum, so to speak, especially after the success of Reachin?
Not really. I think a lot of the stuff that they did behind the curtain. You know, like we would do what we would do, and then whatever they would think they needed to do, and like to use those kind of umbrellas or this kind of thing, they didn't really come to us with it. You know what I mean? They didn't require that we do this or do that. I mean, we would have to go on promotional tours and do, you know, early morning shows, interviews and stuff, but that's really all part of the game. But in terms of coming in and saying, hey, you guys need to do this or you guys need to do that, not really.
Nah, the only thing that's close to that I can remember is after the first album, you know, the success of the first single, Cool Like That, they would definitely wanted us to give them some more Cool Like That music. You know what I'm saying? They wanted another hit. And I think they were a little wary of Blowout Comb was the antithesis of that. You know what I'm saying?
The label, I feel, didn't really, they didn't get it, you know. Yeah. And not just the label, but also, you know, because of like industry politics and labels kind of falling apart and merging and stuff, we kind of got lost.
Yeah. And so they were kind of a little wary. I think that's the only time I really remember any time really butting heads with the label like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I want
to like they didn't make us. They roll with what we did. You know what I'm saying? But it was like back then, like they didn't know Cool Like That was really going to be the hit that it was. So to act like now, or we want something like that, it was. Right. But that's, they was spending a lot of money and using a lot of resources. So they was just trying to minimize the risk of failure. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I understood that. We understood that. So it's more like a partnership, you know, like you discuss it. We like, nah, we ain't really on that. And they're like, all right, well, you know, boom, boom, you know. So we didn't really have too much like pressure to be something we didn't want to do.
Like I said, we were lucky enough to be around people that believed in the vision and were smart enough to let us do us and they do them. They handled the business and let us handle the creative side. And that's because they took a chance with us on the first album. Nobody thought, when we used to sit in meetings with them, they were talking about promoting us through college radio and blah, 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 blah. They had no idea this was going to be like some kind of big pop record or anything like that. So they got lucky. Mm-hmm. And I think the second album, they were a little shocked at the transformation. I think a little bit from the Reachin vibe to the Blowout Comb vibe. But I think they were smart enough. They took, instead of butting heads with us, they allowed us to be the artists that we were and just rolled the dice and went with, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think that was a good thing for us. You know what I'm saying? I think it worked out well for everybody.
100%. Yeah, because the Blowout Comb album is honestly it got more legs. It's like, it's seen as almost a more classic album than Reachin is. You know, like, to me, that album is what's allowing us to keep relevancy today, because not that it was a commercial success, but it just had good flavor to it. It had good vibes. It had substance to it. And we solidified ourselves as something substantial. You know what I mean? And that helped the longevity of the group, I think.
100%.
You know? And it sells too, and it gets played and stuff. So I think the label is like, okay, you know, we made it took longer, but we did all right, kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. It's an album that's aged very gracefully, and as a diehard fan, I couldn't possibly choose a favorite between the two, to be honest. This might be the most important question I'll ask you guys. Maybe the question I've been waiting 30 years to ask you guys. You dropped 2 certifiable bona fide classic albums in consecutive years, Reaching in 93, Blowout Comb in 94. How come you guys never made another album together?
Oh man, that's the $1 million question right there, huh?
It's really vibes, man. You know, like it's like when you was 20, 23, 24, you know, the clothes you wore, the girlfriend you had, the friends you hung out with, you don't necessarily do that 4 years afterwards. But, you know, you think you got, I look at it more like what we was able to accomplish rather than what we didn't do after we accomplished it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think cats just had different ideas and different desires, and it really was never funky, really. But at a certain point in time, even though in our hearts we wanted to keep going as individuals, you know, that and there's some aspects of it that are just only for the insiders, you know what I mean? Only for us to really grapple with and try to understand, which we still are to this day.
There were, you know, personal and professional issues that we had to shoulder. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I believe, you know, we were also really young. And, you know, things happen and the course changed, but, you know, we are together now. So I'm hopeful for the future.
You know what I mean? But we've been able to get back together and tour and, you know, think about making new music. And we still are. We think about it all the time. We talk about it often as well. But I think we just broke up because we were young. We were kind of dumb in some regards, but just naive, really, you know, and thinking that we wanted to do other stuff, which we did. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. What you think, Sid?
Ooh, I mean, you summing it up pretty good. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint. Vibes, it was like you said, it's the vibes, and we were all individuals. We all had our own agendas, and then once the group broke up, you know, you human beings, and you catch feelings, and everybody. We needed time to get away, figure out who we wanted to be, what we wanted to do afterwards. It took a while, but after a while, we came back together. I think it was like 2005, 2006, something like that. We got back together some kind of way, and we all met up in New York, talked, and realized that, you know what I'm saying, we missed this shit. I miss being around them cats. You know what I'm saying? I miss making music with them. I miss touring with them. And we all felt that same way. And I think, but it's a work in progress. We still trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, we're still here. Luckily, the opportunities are still there. They don't have to be, but somehow, some way, every time we turn around, there's somebody wanting us to do a show, somebody wanting us to do music. Now it's just a matter of us putting the pieces together and getting that vibe back. You know what I'm saying? It's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? You can't force it. You can't force it. It's going to happen.
We had a vibe back then.
Yeah,
we definitely
exactly.
did. You know,
yep.
And also too, another thing that's cool is like the fact that fans, people that wasn't even born when the records came out, want to pay money and come to a show, like that means something to us. You know what I mean? And we gonna get up and come outside with respect to that. You know, that fortune that we have to even be cared about. So, you know, we try to pay that back, but we do got to get. I want to make music. I know, you know what I'm saying? Like we'll see.
Yeah, I think everybody's gonna like the sound of what you just said. That have long wanted. I mean, not to hit on this too hard, but like, as a fan, one of the things I've always questioned is I've always wondered, like, I wonder how much of it, if any of it, is just like those. In my humble opinion, those are 2 perfect albums, and is any of it sort of like having to sort of try to live up to what can be seen as an impossible standard?
No.
Yeah. Okay. I respect that. Well, you guys have been all done really dope stuff as solo artists over more recent years.
I am the spaceman. I am the spaceman.
I really love that you have and appreciate that you've continued to tour as a unit all these years.
DP's baby is slim but not thin. In a mix of pebbles, we rocks on your block. Soaking in the ghetto for kids to have not. Slapping us with skin when we slam. Check the cheers and we greet the virginians with a kiss. It's so good to be here. It's good to be here. It's good to be here, man. It's good to be here.
You guys are going to keep touring. This is what my last question. Like, can you kind of characterize where the DPs stand as a unit in 2023, 30 years after Reachin?
We love what we do. We are looking to the future, looking to create, something new with each other. We just, we recognize that it's, very rare to have the love still at all these years later, love from, our supporters, and our peers. So it's a blessing. We recognize that. And, we are a work in progress still, but yeah, I feel like things are looking good. Mm-hmm.
Oh man, we still here. We still reaching. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot. We got long arms, and we still reaching. And this year is the 30th anniversary, of the Reachin album, and we're gonna be touring all over the world. Hopefully, a city that you guys live in will be there. And if you get a chance and you hear about us being in your town, go get a ticket, come check us out. Because the best way to understand the DPs is to see us live. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Having in concert. That's what really get the full, you know what I'm saying, experience. And if you want tickets, you can hit us up, officialdigableplanets.com. You know what I'm saying? We're going to start May 4th. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be the first day of our tour, and it's going to be in New Orleans. The Big Easy, House of Blues.
Nice.
And it's going to be fun. It's going to be mad fun. We're going to do the whole album from beginning to end, Reachin, and it's going to be dope. In fact, we get off this line, I'm going to be practicing some of my lines and shit. It's been a long time since I said something.
Yes, sir.
Guys, I honestly, I can't thank you enough for this. Like I said, man, this means so much to me that you guys spent this time with me, and it was just like a high of my professional and personal life and career and all things considered. Like, you guys mean so much to me. I can't even begin to tell you. So thank you so much.
Man, I appreciate it. Next time we in town, come holler at us though, bro.
No doubt.
Thank you so much, Kevin.
I will for sure.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right, Kev.
Thank you so much.
Hey.